Right on. Ruth Simpson, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. You're on the air.
Hey, thank you. How are you? I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All is well. You're more than welcome. So, the podcast will be mostly focused on three aspects. What do you do for a living? How'd you get there? And basically, have you at some point lost some time? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you tested a few other things. So,
Mm-hmm.
tell us what you do for a living.
I kind of changed the career recently in June last year. So currently, my job title is Sales Development Manager for Infrastructure Solutions. What it in reality means is that I'm helping real estate developers to create kind of tomorrow's neighborhoods. So that in a way that, okay, using smart technology, combining like different infrastructures like high-speed broadband access, street lighting, electronic car charging stations, and solar panels together with electricity, combining everything those infrastructure things into one broad kind of the neighborhood, and so that you can combine and you can kind of start building the smart city within your property, and that's what we are doing, me and my team.
Right on. How'd you get there?
That's a cool story.
Yeah, I know. That's why I left this for the next question.
That's a really cool story because it's like a bit of the background. It's like my whole career so far has been tourist, like corporate travel, business travel, and I had been doing this for like, I don't know, 12, 13 years. And at some point I felt like, okay, I feel that I couldn't do this for that much longer anymore. So it's like I applied for the MBA program in August 2020. So it was like I worked in the travel, and it was the Corona pandemic started 2020. So I figured that, okay, it's like if I'm gonna see the career change at some point within the next few years, this low time in tourism is gonna be the time that I'm gonna do the 1-year MBA program. So it's like I'm gonna use the downside of the tourism industry to kind of learn something and be ready for the next career change. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I kind of trusted my guts that, okay, it's going to pay off. And fast forward like 10, 11 months later, at the end of May 2021, when I was about to graduate, I was laid off from my work and kind of effective immediately. And it's like on one Friday afternoon, I had a Teams call with my manager in Switzerland. And she said, okay, it's like right now, you pack your things and you're out.
I heard a lot of people went through this.
That's the thing in the tourism industry. But the good thing is like that I applied to my current position a few weeks earlier. So I was kind of at the end of my MBA program, and I was like seeking, okay, I want to do something like related to not sales purely, but developing the sales. And I saw myself doing something in, like, I was working at the oil and energy trading company, doing the corporate travel there. And I thought like, okay, maybe something towards like green energy or something industry that is kind of still about to boom. And to be on the early steps of something that's still growing. And so I kind of applied to my current position a week before I was laid off from the previous job. And I got this position, and I started this like exactly a same day, 1 month after I was laid off. And here I am. And it's kind of combines the whole kind of spectrum of what we're going to speak here. It's like is it a waste of time, or is it about trusting your guts?
Actually, it's a pretty good combo, because you mentioned that you did it a couple of weeks in advance, like earlier. Mm-hmm. And so there's basically a little bit of a combo, like trusting your gut, but also having a little bit of luck.
I would say so, yeah, because it's like I felt like, okay, if I do not get this position, I'm gonna just take like the summer off. I'm gonna enjoy the summer financially. I was in a position that I could be without job for a few months, and that's where I was like,
that's
okay,
pretty good nowadays.
And then I was like, I was gonna use all my contacts, like, okay, spread the word and share the information, which I didn't use when I applied for my current position. So it was like it was a good thing. And looking back, it's like when I told to myself I want to do some sales development and in some industry which is still like booming, that's exactly the thing I'm going to do right now. And I got to this position thanks to the MBA program, because it's like they wanted someone with MBA background or business administration in general master's level, and I am here. And so
How
it
did
is.
you knew what to study? What pushed you to MBA?
Because that's the thing, you can combine this with everything.
Yeah.
My background was tourism. It was international tourism. I reached this glass ceiling thing. You couldn't get any further in corporate travel where I was doing, and I felt it was ready. And it's like, okay, I had the BA in tourism. I had the masters in tourism, which we studied like where we met in Denmark, and I was thinking, okay, it's like I'm going to do some business administration just because it's like I can combine this with everything. I could combine this with tourism if I wanted to stay within tourism, or it's like it's the general information or knowledge, and that's going to help me somewhere else as well. And that's kind of a good starting point towards some changing the career. And it is because MBA is I picked MBA because it's like that's kind of international reputation. It comes from the US, and it's like if I ever gonna work in the US or go to the US or UK or anywhere in the world, they know what it is.
It's a pretty good safety net, yeah.
And it is, and it's like when they tell me that, okay, or I'm gonna tell everyone that, okay, I got the MBA from Estonian Business School. They know, okay, MBA, it's kind of a safe list. It's a checked thing, and it's no like just local program somewhere in Estonia. So that's why I got the MBA, and I got the 1-year program, because it's like I want to get things faster, and that's where I am.
It's pretty solid. Have you at any point in your career had that, or not only in your career, basically after high school, have you ever had that point where you started something, you felt it that it wasn't for you, and you left it aside or something? And if so, how exactly did you felt it? How did you figure it out it wasn't for you? What was the hint?
To be honest, I don't think I have been on that point where I started something and felt that, okay, it's wrong. It's like, because I always try to see something, okay, it's not for me, but it's good for something. And right. That's the same thing for the master's degree I received in Aalborg University in Denmark. Knowledge-wise, it hasn't helped me that much. So it's like, you could say knowledge-wise, it's kind of a wasted time, but I got the international experience. I got the international master's degree from living abroad and working abroad. That's something. It's like that's
not exactly a loss of time.
Exactly. So that's why I'm trying to say, okay, I didn't win on the way that I kind of expected from the MA degree, but I won like bigger. And that's why I always try to say, it's like it's either glass is half empty or half full. I try to say it half full because it's like I won so much bigger. It's like from Denmark, I went to India. I lived and worked in India. So I have the experience of doing business in Indian subcontinent, which you cannot get anywhere.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, if I would say one thing that I kind of really learned, it was the kind of hands-in project-based learning, which has helped me also, because it's like on the first semester we did the cycling roads development, which is kind of helps me somehow on my today's life, but it's not exactly the same. So I would say, no, I haven't had this kind of feeling that, okay, I started something as it's not for me and it's a wasted time. Might be that it's not for me, but it's never a wasted time.
Right on. The reason I actually asked all those questions is because, especially for the last couple of years, I've been hearing a lot of people younger than us. They look almost as young as you do. That they actually aim to go to universities and they don't even know what they're going to study when they go there. They just go there for the diploma, which I believe is wrong. And this is why I asked all those questions. So first of all, congratulations for being in the situation you are, not being in a position to lose time to start something that later on wasn't for you, because it's a common practice. And this is the point of this channel. I really want to help people to avoid that kind of a loss, and to be aware how to focus on the things that are important to them. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty good that you have never been in that position. And were you in that position because you were basically aware of yourself? You knew yourself pretty well. Is that fair to say? You knew yourself pretty well. You knew what you want and how to aim for it. Is that it?
So and so, I would say, because it's like immediately right after like graduating from Aalborg University, I didn't have this feeling that okay, it's a wasted time. It's not going to help me, because it was so fresh, and but there I felt like okay, I'm learning for the degree, and there is a huge difference whether you're learning for the degree, for the paper, or you're for yourself. Yeah. And but I still kind of trusted that it will pay off somehow. And it's like when I returned from Denmark, or when I graduated, I was working at the Scandinavian Airlines call center in the U.S. market, and it's like that's from my closer relation with the U.S. market kind of started, and from there on it's a journey. So I don't know. It's like it's my mentality that kind of helped me to understand that okay, it's glass is half full, but it's kind of trusting. It's like okay, just trust your instincts that it's gonna work out. And I think maybe it's like because I had this gap between my bachelor's degree and master's degree where I was working, and then maybe it's like that working phase kind of helped me have another perspective on myself, on what I'm doing, and to create this trustfulness towards myself. Because what students often do is like they go kind of the tunnel study. You have the high school, you have the BA, you have the master's, everything in one flow, and it's kind of the studying because of studying, and you don't get this first experience like with the hands-in experience from working on a field. And combining this with the studies, you're just studying. But if you do those gaps where you kind of use what you have learned, and then you put this into practice, and then after a few years of working, you go back to studying, it's a totally different study then. And Absolutely. That's where you're kind of studying for yourself, and what do I get out of this? And that was my MBA degree, that okay, I put everything I learned on that one studied lesson a day. I knew okay, it's like in my job it's this, and in my job it's like that, and you get kind of different perspective towards when it comes to studying.
Right on.
And then this with the work experience.
I actually haven't thought about, because I did exactly that way. I graduated high school and I was very young. I was 17 when I started my bachelor degree. Then I was very young when I graduated the master. So I never really had that gap. And indeed, when I first started working, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was basically very unprepared. But that's remarkable. Those inputs were truly great. Thank you, Ruth, for your time, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my first time being a guest in a podcast, so it was a really great experience. So thank you.
Well, you're the first guest on this podcast as well.
Thank you for inviting me.
No mention.